I grew up in a family full of people that love the outdoors, hunting and fishing, and I caught that bug from a really early age, and it was particularly an experience with the wild turkey. You know, there were a lot of great people before me that did a lot of really extraordinary things to make sure that we still had wild turkeys today. And I just have always felt like that was my way that I could give back, because I've gained so much through my life from my interactions with the species, and I've just always been really passionate about wildlife conservation because of that, that childhood growing up with my dad, my granddaddy, and my uncles. They were all really big time hunters, and seeing them light up for a turkey gobbling, just sort of affected me in that same way, and I've devoted my life to researching wildlife and conservation efforts around wildlife because of that. I am a professor in wildlife ecology at the University of Florida, and I also am housed within IFAS, which is an institute that's focused on agriculture. So that includes forestry and wildlife, natural resources are all bundled into that institute. And my current appointment is unusual. It's split three ways, and I have an extension role, which is what most people are not familiar with the university, but it's a really important part of the land grant mission. The extension is essentially me teaching or presenting or bringing information outside of the university to share it with people, the constituents in Florida in particular, and that's the idea behind extension. So if you've seen me on media or giving presentations, what we're doing right now, all of those things fit within my extension role, and I think that's one of the more important roles that I play in the state of Florida for conservation, because I'm the link often between research and action, right? I'm taking research and putting it into a format that's understandable for people and accessible, and then delivering it in different platforms to make sure that people know about it and can incorporate it into their own lives and management. Essentially, I guess what I was tasked with is figure out what's going on. We have turkeys and we want to keep them. There's other places showing signs of decline. Do we have the signs of decline? And if so, what's wrong? And how do we fix it?
Yesterday they caught one that we had a tag on from last year. Really? Yeah, on a different site. So.
There's many challenges, like you might imagine. Many of them are shared with other places, but one that's particularly important here is, the human influence. Land in Florida is valuable. There's competing land use, that people are interested in, and particularly around the coastline. And when you get in southern Florida, the demand for developing land is much greater than it is in other parts of the U.S., at least in places that I've been. And I think that's a problem that we're having to balance with our natural resources. We do have some really exceptional things that showcase in Florida, though, that have been a really great complement to a lot of the great management are going on and other conservation efforts. One that comes to mind in particular that is really important to me, and that I think is really important to wildlife in the state, particularly because of that threat, is called the Florida Wildlife Corridor Act. And a lot of the work that I'm doing is linked to that, but the idea is to find ways to protect land in perpetuity, and so that it's connected habitat from southern Florida, the Everglades, all the way to the Georgia line, and then across the panhandle all the way to Alabama. And currently there is 18 million undeveloped acres that's contiguous, that's earmarked for that. 12 million of it is already at some sort of perpetual protection. That, to me, I think it's a really important part of what's going on in Florida, and a lot of the turkey work that I'm working on right now is linked to it inherently, because the corridor, I think our data already shows, the corridor effort, particularly in South Florida, is pretty critical for the species and for many other wildlife species.
A lot of times those will even be completely black, but if they're broken, especially that much, it's clear across the other side.
We have this massive effort statewide. This is an extraordinarily comprehensive effort. In fact, I think it's the most comprehensive effort ever on the species. And we've already started learning some really interesting things. One that really resonated with me, sort of linking back to our previous conversation with the wildlife corridor, we can, through combining various data sets, we can see how the relative abundance of turkeys is distributed through the state. And when you get to about Ocala and then go south, almost all of the turkeys are in the corridor. So it's like, to me, this stark example that the wildlife corridor, I mean, it's demonstrated, the proof's in the pudding. That's where our turkeys are. And there's pockets of them outside of it, but, you know, in terms of the contiguous population, they're all contained within the effort. And that shows me that that's a pretty special thing that so many people are working on, and that it's working. There are so many ways. I mean, I have integrated cameras into basically every aspect of my research program and outreach. I don't think people think about that part of it very much. And the cell phone technology combined with the AI has really opened the door, because we're in an age of big data now. And we were just talking about this earlier. One problem we have is we have so many images, we don't know what to do with them. Like, just having the processing power to screen through and identify what's in the images, that itself is critical. One thing that's probably unique to us compared to others that might use trail cameras, is we're simultaneously running sites where we're trying to catch turkeys all over the state right now. I can't be there all the time, right? We have a team of people at every site, and we have to continuously have really high quality knowledge of turkey use of every individual site. Having this technology has transformed how we do that. You know, we've been using trail cameras for a while, but we still had to go visit every trail camera. And that causes problems because they might be 20 or 30 miles apart, right? So we might spend all day just checking cameras, and then on top of that, we commonly would get to a site and there were turkeys present. So then we just messed up the opportunity we were trying to see that if we had. You know, so there's lots of ways like that it's integrating in and screening through massive amounts of data, you know, so that we can sort out just turkey images. All of those features have been really remarkable and critical for us to run at the scale we're operating at now. You know, for folks out there that know about our media presence, you're probably already seeing a lot of the things that we're sharing, because, you know, I was talking about the communication part with WiseEye cameras. I mean, we're sharing content daily now from that. I'm dedicating my life, and so are about 30 other people that work for me right now. We're all dedicated to making sure that our resources are sustainable.
That's what it's like to catch turkeys.